Hello, CPAC! Are we having a good time? Are we winning? Well, you know, we're 2.5 years on, aren't we, from those amazing, dramatic events that we saw of 2016. The Brexit referendum, when nobody thought it was possible, where you, of course, sent us President Obama to tell us we shouldn't vote for it, and we did it. And then, of course, on November the 8th, 2016, despite the fact we were told it was a 98% certainty that crooked Hillary would win. Well, I think she's called Crooked Hillary, isn't she? I mean, someone coined that phrase, and he's good at this kind of thing, isn't he? And despite everything, Trump won. So we were at CPAC that year, and I always thank Matt and the team for inviting me. Goodness knows why they keep having me back, but I love it. We were in a state of euphoria. But if you think about it, 2.5 years on, the one common theme on both sides of the pond is that the establishment, the big businesses behind it, simply refuse to accept the result. They don't accept the legitimacy of Trump. They don't accept the legitimacy of the Brexit referendum. And the campaign against your president, I have to say, at times, I think the whole thing is pretty disgusting. There can never have been. There can never have been a president who has been subject to more abuse and vitriol than Donald Trump. And I thought this week it sunk to the depths because we saw a convicted liar. Some would even say scumbag. Well, let's say scumbag, shall we? I mean, what on earth was Michael Cohen being given that platform for if it wasn't yet again to see the denigration of your president? And we have ever more fantastical conspiracy theories that somehow either the electorate was mesmerized or the Russians pumped in money, and the endless Mueller investigation and non-stop questioning of the legitimacy of your president. And sometimes, if you're on this side of the argument, it feels as if we're living under constant assault. And that is because we are living under constant assault. And yet here we are with Trump having delivered most of the promises that he made. I mean, how about that? How about that? You know, generally what happens in Western politics is leaders make promises and then willfully betray them. Here you've got a president who is absolutely dead set on delivering his promises. And it really doesn't matter what the New York Times say, what CNN say, it doesn't matter. What matters is actually the base. And when I say Trump's base, I kind of think I'm looking at them right now. So tell me, have I got this wrong? Have I misread this? Is the base strong? I couldn't hear you. Is the base strong? Of course it is. Of course it is. And if he carries on his current course, he's looking in good shape. And I particularly think he's looking in good shape because of what's happening with the Democrats. Because a little bit like the British Labour Party, which has now been taken over by extreme Marxists, looks to me like the same thing is happening with the Democrat Party. You know, I know that when AOC goes on the television and spouts this failed doctrine of socialism, I mean, Does socialism work? Well, I tell you what, just look at Venezuela and there you have your answer. It's a failed doctrine. And I know that it's become attractive to a certain percentage of the younger population. It's become attractive to them because they've never lived under it. It's become attractive to them because they've never seen it. It's become attractive to them because the idea that everything should be free. I mean, hey, who doesn't want stuff for free? But the fact is, socialism doesn't work. And what I'm seeing here in the Democrat Party are very similar hard left forces that are now taking over. And much as we must stand up and defend free markets, liberty, genuine capitalism over corporatism, much as we may do that, and we must do that, maybe we should be pleased that the hard left are taking over the Labour Party. The hard left are taking over the Democrats, because the further to the left they go, the higher they want taxes to be, the less chance they have of getting elected. So it's okay. It's okay. And I think, to be honest with you, here we are in the middle of the term. You've got a president who showed the world that he's a strong leader, a president who showed the American people he keeps his promises. And honestly, I think the outlook for 2020 is very, very good indeed. He's going to get re-elected with a much bigger majority. No question. He is. He is. He is. Save that chant for next year, but yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, and let's hope that AOC gets as much television coverage and as much radio coverage as possible. Make the Democrats look like hard left socialists, and you'll be in with a massive electoral college win. Now, we on my side of the pond have suffered from much the same problem with Brexit. The complete refusal of our political class, the complete refusal of much of our media class, and absolutely the refusal of much of our big global business class to accept the result of Brexit. And remember, Brexit was the greatest exercise in democracy in the history of the United Kingdom. $17,410,423. I know, because I met them all in the previous 25 years. Voted for Brexit, and yet, just as with your president, they've tried to denigrate and attack those of us that led the campaign. They've tried to use Project Fear once again, that if we leave the clutches of the European Union, that somehow there'll be terrible, disastrous effects on jobs, on investment. The future will be bleak. It'll be like going back to the Depression. Plagues of black locusts will descend upon our land. But none of it, in one way, should matter, because the people have not changed their mind. In fact, I would say there are many that voted Remain who, because they believe in democracy and because they're fair-minded people, think it is only right and proper that that result is implemented. And I stand today before you, and in 28 days' time, on March the 29th, at 11 p.m., we are due to leave the European Union. Yeah. And with that, we become a free, independent, self-governing, democratic nation that makes its own laws, that doesn't kowtow to foreign bureaucrats, that controls its own borders and does those things. So it sounds easy, doesn't it? I shouldn't need to do any work for the next 4 weeks. In fact, I could go for a party, a 4-week party. Now, I'd love to go for a 4-week party, but I'm afraid we have a bit of a problem. Our leader is not made of the same stuff that your leader is made of. Our leader has negotiated a withdrawal agreement that reads like a surrender document of a nation that's been beaten at war and literally has a gun to its head. Our withdrawal agreement means we would leave the European Union in name only, but not get back, possibly for many years or maybe never, our rights and our ability to set our own laws, control our own borders, and, crucially, to reach out to our friends in the world. And there is no nation on earth that we are closer aligned to, emotionally, intellectually, historically, culturally, than the great United States of America. Under Mrs. May's deal, it would be many years and possibly never until we could negotiate a genuine bilateral trade deal with America, which I so desperately want. But in many ways, that shouldn't be a problem, because the legislation says that we leave on March the 29th with a withdrawal agreement, or in the absence of that, without a withdrawal agreement. And kind of, you know, what's not to like about leaving their wretched customs union, leaving their single market, getting away from the Mr. Junckers and the Mr. Tusks who look down and abuse our nation. But the problem is, our leader and our parliament cannot countenance us getting real independence. Now, I've got everything crossed, and I hope we do leave on that day with, as it's called, no deal, with a WTO deal. But there is a very real risk that because of the sheer awfulness of a withdrawal agreement, that we may find that our political class actually choose willfully to delay our departure date, to betray the greatest act we've ever seen in our nation. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I worry that will happen. So what I've been doing is I've been getting ready. I've been getting match fit. Because if they do betray this result, if they force us to fight future elections and maybe even another referendum, they will do so thinking they can overturn the will of the people. Well, I've got news for them. If they think by forcing us to vote again, they'll get the result they want, they got two problems. One of them is the reasonableness and decentness of British people, and the second is they'll have me to deal with again. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I tell you what. I tell you what. The last time I burst onto the national political scene, they hated it. If I have to come back and do this again, if I have to come back and win this again, then I'll do it. But I tell you, if I have to do this again, next time, it'll be no more Mr. Nice Guy, all right? So please take this away with you. Brexit will happen, whether it happens on March 29th, whether we have to fight this again, Brexit will happen. Trump will get re-elected. But there's no question in my mind, but the one worry and I feel we're winning these battles, the biggest worry I've got is what's happening to free speech. What is happening to free speech in our colleges and our universities. We must stand and fight against that. People must speak freely. I've also met Mark Zuckerberg, which he didn't enjoy very much, I've got to tell you. But it's outrageous that Facebook say they're a platform for all ideas when actually they are censoring conservative content. It's an outrage they're doing it. Do you know, 7 years ago today, Andrew Breitbart died suddenly. He was, in many ways, a pioneer of the movement, of the argument that we could go behind the back of mainstream media and use social media to reach our audiences. And we should not only pay tribute to him, but also to his warning. He predicted that censorship would be used on social media to stifle debate. And we need our legislators. We need them to redefine organizations like Facebook as publishers so that they are responsible for the content that they put out. And a final thought from me. If you think back to why Brexit happened, to why Trump happened, to why the extraordinary new Italian coalition has been put together, and they're doing well. They're doing really, really well. But if you think back to it, there was one policy above all that stirred the hearts of people. One policy above all that made people go to the ballot box and take part in those elections. And that one policy is no longer being talked about. Indeed, that one policy, there are some who masquerade as conservative donors, but who run big businesses, would rather we didn't talk about. Let us remind ourselves that open borders, security, community, and immigration, that is why we won those great battles in 2016. Let us not be browbeaten. Let us not be influenced by money. Let us not be browbeaten by the media or anybody else. It is right and proper that a nation state controls its borders. It is right and proper that we do that. It is right and proper that we try to make our communities as safe as we can in an age of international terrorism. It is right and proper that we are unashamedly proud and patriotic of our countries, our nations, our identity. It is right and proper that we do those things. And above all, it is right and proper that as we go about our business, as we ready ourselves for the next big campaigns that we know will happen here in America, and will, if all things go wrong, happen once again in the United Kingdom, to remember that we are the real people. We are here not because we want careers. We're here because of our passion. We're here because of our belief. We're here because we care about our communities, about our countries, and about their role in the world. So the best piece of advice I can give all of you is when we go out there and fight, smile. Let's be happy warriors. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Thank you.